Hey everyone, welcome to Recover. Come on in, we got friends inside. Because that's what all anyone does in Japan is drift, you know?
That's true, yeah, 100%.
Alright, you guys ready for this shit? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Recover Hub. We have a special guest, a man, a myth, a legend, Andrew here on the podcast. How's it going, buddy?
It's good, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. He's here to tell us his story, and it's a good one. So thanks for tuning in.
When did we meet you last? What was it like?
It was almost a year ago.
No,
man.
It wasn't a year ago. It was probably in March. I was trying to think about it because we were in Holdfast, but it was definitely like I just have to tell you, it was like an inspiration to me just because like of how much whining we were doing when we were in there.
Yeah,
it's just horrible, man. And to hear your story was like
it made me want to, like, I left the room after you did your testimony or you told us what happened, and I just said, man, I'm being a little bitch, like I need to pad up. I need to stop being a bitch about this shit.
Were you guys fresh out of addiction when I came
pretty
in?
much.
Hell yeah.
Really?
February 22nd was my date, so a year last week, and then he's almost coming up on a year here pretty soon.
You guys just sitting there just feeling like shit.
Yeah. When you were telling your story, man, I was sitting there just sunk into the couch, just going, no way.
Sometimes that's the best time to receive something too, you know, when you're at rock bottom and someone comes in and you see their situation and it's a little bit different, and it definitely
like to hear Brendan's story and then all these other stories and stuff like that, like there is hope. And that's the thing, it's just like
yeah, no doubt.
Did it start off with like weed and alcohol for you when
So yeah, it's an interesting story. The way I grew up was in a conservative Christian home, and I feel like my family was just trying to protect me from the world, isolating me a lot, and so like that caused me to want to try new things. I felt like I was missing out on a lot of the world, you know, and what was going on, and a lot of my friends were out doing things, and they were partying, smoking weed, doing that. And so in high school, that's when I first experimented with smoking weed and alcohol. And it was kind of low key and just here and there, you know, on the weekends and stuff. But what really turned things around for me was when my accident happened. I got in a snowboarding accident, and that was 6 years ago on Valentine's Day. And after that, I was actually prescribed pain meds. And so that's kind of what started things, kick things off for me.
Fueled the fire.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Did you grow up here in Prescott?
So I was actually born and raised in Oregon, 12 years, and Prescott for 13 years.
So growing up was like Christian values, like pushed hard on your family?
Definitely. Everything in Oregon was like I went to a private Christian school. I was homeschooled for 1 year, and then I went and did my last year in Oregon before moving to Prescott Valley at a public school. And so that kind of opened the door a little bit for me to meet new friends and experience new things, and then finally coming to Prescott and then going to high school here. Things started.
So, like, this place is a bad influence, basically, Prescott and Prescott Valley. Like,
no, it's what you make of it, man. It's mindset and the people that you're surrounding yourself with, really, because, I mean, as a lot of you know, Prescott is a major hub for recovery. And with that, with that, you get a lot of relapses and stuff. And there's going to be addiction around this area for sure. But I don't think that is any reason for you to stay away from a location like this, because seems like you guys are thriving right now, doing awesome. I love this place. My family and friends are here. My community's here. And it's really just having that mindset to stay strong and surround yourself with good people to encourage you to stick through it, you know, and not fall back into those ways. Because for me, I'm pretty susceptible to peer pressure, and I think that when I surround myself in a community of others that are using and choosing to live that life, that's going to bring me down, you know.
Same here. And same thing with me with opiates. It was from a surgery too. Something happened, and you know, I wasn't doing too well mentally, emotionally. Started taking pills and all this.
Try not to laugh.
About what?
I wish I could say the same thing about me though. but I can't.
Oh, I'm just saying that, like,
I just drink.
My doctor was my drug
because.
dealer for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it kicked off, like, a horrible 10 years of addiction for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have found it anyways. I would have found it, like, partying. I was bad with peer pressure, too. I just wanted to fit in. I never really felt like I fit in that well. And then when I got that, it felt like everything calmed down and I could be myself. And it felt like a cure. And
absolutely. I know that feeling, and it feels like when you start, you feel good, it makes you feel good, and then you get to a point where it feels like you can't really survive without it because you've developed this personality, this whatever on this drug, and you have that high and you feel good, and that's just who you are, and it feels like everything you do, you start justifying it, like, man, I can't go hang out with these people without using this drug right now. I can't be even around my family. It was like I was going to the bathroom and like snorting pills and stuff, and like around family gatherings and stuff. And
just to
I
be
thought
normal.
That's what my perception was.
Yeah.
And now I'm sober, clean and sober, and I feel so much better, and I'm actually a way better person since then. But that's what our perception is while we're using. You know what I mean? It feels like. That's what the best thing for us is at the time, and then it gets to a point where it's like you need that to survive, to do anything. I was still like playing sports and doing that, and it was just like slowly just tearing my life down.
So where did everything like go off course a little bit?
When the accident happened, I'm gonna tell that briefly. I took my girlfriend snowboarding on Valentine's Day, and she knew I wanted to hit the park, and it was around lunchtime. I was teaching her up to that point, and she said, hey, go hit the train park. I'll meet you at the bottom for lunch. I hit the first large jump. I landed clean, and then I came flying into the second one, and it was built more vertical. So as I came off the top of it, it threw me backwards 2 stories in the air, and I flew past the landing zone, came down, landed straight on my neck, which paralyzed me from the chest down. I was laying there just in shock what happened. I tried to sit up. I couldn't sit up because I don't have that core control. Just grabbing my legs, like shaking them, moving them around, wondering what was going on, with my body. And so I pulled out my phone and I called my girlfriend. I was like, hey, don't freak out. I'm paralyzed. Get the car. Meet me at the hospital. And then a skier came by and I was like, hey, I need you to get ski patrol. I can't move right now. So ski patrol came up, loaded me in the back behind the snowmobile, and then took me to the helicopter pad where they cut off my brand new jacket and then air evac'd me to Flagstaff Medical Center where they did surgery on me. They went in through the front of my neck, moved my trachea aside, pulled out all the broken bone fragment in there, and then put a cage in there to protect it. I woke up after surgery and I had all my friends and family there around me, had a pretty good support system, but I had to, from that point on, figure out, what I was going to do with my life, because now I'm in a wheelchair and I had to figure out, who I was going to be, if I was going to let this bring me down or not. I had a pretty good optimistic mindset afterwards, and I'll get to that point after addiction, because addiction comes into play too. I've always been someone to not let anything get me down, and so I was motivated, after my accident to get back into sports, get back into work, school, friends, everything. I was like, I can still live my life and tackle this challenge. And so shortly after that, I was prescribed pain meds, and it wasn't really an issue at first, but I was aware that in my family there's a history of drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction, and so a couple of my uncles have passed away from that, and so that's something that we all have to keep in mind too, because a lot of those same trends can happen. So anyways, the pills got prescribed to me, and I was using those, and it wasn't that big of a deal, but over time I felt like I was taking more and more and more, and then what really caused everything to shift upside down was when a buddy of mine came to me and said, hey, we've got this opportunity to sell these pills, but at a much higher strength. And so they were the Percocet 30s that were on the street,
the little blue ones, right?
little M30s, the blue ones, which If you don't know about those, they're most likely not the real deal. I would say 99% of them are fake, and they're from Mexico, and they're cut with fentanyl. And so you're kind of just playing with fire at that point, man, when you're starting to do those. And you can get those at such a cheap value when you find the right person that's selling and sell them in Prescott, especially for much more. So I was going down to Phoenix, and I was picking up hundreds of these pills at a very good price and bringing them up to Prescott. And I'm in a chair, I'm driving, and I honestly am like, well, if I get pulled over too, I'm just throwing these in my prescription bottle. You know, they're not going to know any difference. I'm in a chair, like I'm going to get away with it. I didn't really like think about the consequences. And at first, my main motive was entrepreneurship, like making money off of this. I was not thinking of like, oh, I'm going to develop an addiction. So it just started with me selling them. But I had an unlimited supply of these things in my possession, and I started just using them because I liked using pain killers and stuff when I was after my accident. It made me feel good. And so I was using these and then started snorting them, and then it got to the point where I was doing like 6 to 8 of these things a day. And like you start off you could do a quarter, and then you get lit off of these things because they're cut with fentanyl. And especially like somebody that hasn't used them before, I don't know if you've heard of some stories around town, but there was 2 high school kids about, I don't know, maybe a year ago, around the time I came and spoke to you guys. And they took just one of these each at a party, and they overdosed and died immediately because they didn't have the tolerance for it. So anyone that messes with these things that isn't used to messing with opiates or pain killers, they take something with fentanyl in it, and it's game over. You know, so they're killing people out there. So I'm sacrificing my ethics and everything, and to not only abuse these and endanger my life, but I'm endangering other people because I'm selling these and spreading them on the street. Yeah. That's no way to live at all, man. And so it just got to the point where, like, there was one time I was with some friends, and we were doing them, and my friend overdosed. He took one, and he was just on the couch, like unconscious pretty much, drooling, starting to like cough and stuff, and my buddy was just shaking him, and I had to be the one that called 911, and it was just something that I've never had to experience before. Like I said, growing up, in a Christian home and everything, I've just never been, around that kind of stuff before. So it was pretty eye-opening, and especially to be the person that supplied, the drugs to my friend, and to see him almost die at that time. So I called 911, and paramedics came and cops came, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I was like, I think he took some pill. I'm trying to play dumb, but I was the one that offered it to him or sold it to him or whatever. And they had to come, and they did 4 shots of Narcan because this stuff was so strong, just to bring him back, So that was pretty eye-opening for me. And then my family started realizing.
Yeah, we have some guys in the program that didn't, and they're dealing with it today. So you did the right thing, man.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, some of the stories that we hear. Friends have killed friends.
Absolutely. There's a buddy of mine. They were shooting up heroin, and first guy, his buddy, shot up, overdose, was laying there, and then he's like, "Well, I need to call for help, but first I'm gonna get my fix." And so then he grabbed the needle and shot up himself, and that was his main priority. It's like getting high.
And not help his friend, or did he
I don't remember the whole story. I'm pretty sure he called, and his friend didn't die. But I mean,
that is the number one priority.
Yeah.
It takes over food,
matters.
Water,
for
air,
sure.
even. Yeah,
for sure. You wouldn't catch me going anywhere without having those on me. And like I had a pill bottle with those. And it's the same thing as heroin. It could be worse. I mean, fentanyl, that shit is like 1,000 times stronger than morphine. I don't know what they say. But
I don't know how that can be possible. Like I took I was doing the M30s like back when they were like coming out of prescription bottles back in 2009, 2008 or whatever. I hope that they work. And then I remember taking a 4th, getting just totally fucked up off of it. And I graduated about 4 or 5 of those a day. And then they ran out. And
graduated.
business. And I ran out, and I slowly got into heroin, like smoking the stuff, because it was cheaper than the pills. And then so when all this fentanyl came back, I can't imagine. I mean, it started coming in now. I can't imagine how heroin is a step down. From fentanyl. I don't think I've ever had fentanyl.
And the worst thing about this is like there's people out there that they're gonna be like, heroin, no, like needles, smoking it, whatever.
It
no.
is there, yeah.
Pills, I'm familiar with that. That's something my doctors prescribed to me. So you're almost like dehumanizing, or
they
whatever.
look like Skittles too. They're all colorful. They're all like colorful, and they look like a fun, and they make you feel perfect. They look like candy, man.
So
that's no big deal.
Did you drink with these two on top of that, or a little bit?
Oh yeah. There's
a lot of drinking too.
Yeah, drinking was going on, cocaine was going on. I ran out of those pills, and I've shot up heroin before. And I mean, it was around the same thing for me. It wasn't that much daily, because I tried smoking it first, and I never did heroin up to that point. But it was like, shit, I'm withdrawing really bad right now. Like, I need something. And my buddy had some, and I smoked it, and I was like, this doesn't do anything, because I was on that fentanyl tolerance.
I can't believe that.
And
that's
then
crazy.
Ended up shooting up, and that was not something that I'm proud of. But that's.
At the time, you had to do what you had to do, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I know that I got into heroin the same way. They just ran out of those pills, and I was like 4 days into like the Roxy withdrawal, and I was like, I can't imagine any more painful withdrawal than that, or detox than that. And then finally, like, I remember I couldn't go do anything like you said without having those, and so I had a girlfriend that was calling me saying, it's 4th of July, let's have a good time, everyone's over here, and I'm sitting there like withdrawing and puking. And then I call up, I'm like, please, do you have anything? Well, I have a little bit of heroin, like, you could smoke it if you want. And I go, okay, just this once. And it was done after that. Like, it's just, as soon as you start it like, you think you're gonna stop the next day, but it never happens that way.
For sure, especially with people with an addictive personality, and that's myself for sure. And so I'll talk about that a little bit later. But finding like outlets in your life and replacing that those drugs with other things to fill your time healthy alternatives has been a huge part of my recovery. So what happened was, my friend overdosed, and that was like a huge wake-up call for me. And then my family just started noticing too and calling me out on it. And you think at the time that you're just like, no one knows. You think you're getting away with it. But in reality, you're just sitting there like nodding off and, I'm just tired, I've just been doing a lot, trying to get away. But people know, man. Like, you're not fooling anybody. Like, I don't care how good you like, over time, people are going to find out, And it's those real special people in your life that have the courage to be like, hey man, you got an issue, like we need to talk about it, and those are people that care about your well-being and that. And so
especially your family will they gave birth to you, they can figure out if something's off.
For sure. And I would try so hard to like taper down a little bit before I knew something was happening with my family, just do a little bit, like just to hide it. I was trying so hard, but just they know, they find out for sure. You just can't hide that at all. So between that, seeing my friend almost overdose, there was another sale I did to this girl, and she ended up in the hospital. I was like, I'm gonna be like charged for murder. Like I'm gonna get busted. This is not gonna go down, because you see these things pop up on Facebook all the time. Dealers getting busted with this stuff. Like, I was right there, and it just came to a point where it was like, I need to turn my life around. This is not okay at all. And so I went and sought out help, and I started telling people close to me that I had an issue. And that's the first step, is just admitting it, and telling people that are close for you for accountability, because you can't really do it alone. It's hard, and having people in your life that know about it, that are walking through it with you, is really important. And so I ended up getting into a clinic, and I remember just withdrawing so bad, where I came in there, and because I'm in a wheelchair, I deal with like muscle spasms and stuff, and so when I'm coming down, my legs will shake and everything when I'm withdrawing. So my legs were just kicking everywhere, and I'm inside this clinic trying to get help, and my stomach's turning, and then I feel like diarrhea about to come, and I'm like rushing to the bathroom, My girlfriend's with me. She's trying to hold my legs because they're just flying all over my chair, and I'm trying to hop on the toilet. And this is something that she has to see, and she's like holding my legs tight as I'm just blowing out the toilet right in the clinic. Like, this is just a sight to see for everybody, you know. And there's people in there, all sorts of different phases in recovery. But I came in there just severe withdrawal, like 72 hours post, just coming in there trying to seek out help, man. That was like just a huge wake up call for me too, man. I was like, I never want to be at this place again. This is so miserable. Like, I've broken my neck and become paralyzed, and recovering from addiction is like right there. Like, and as far as like challenges and getting over it, like, this is nowhere that I want to be with my life at all. I remember sitting outside that clinic, just like so much anxiety, just leaned over, hunching, feeling like this is hell. This is really what hell is like. Like, this is absolutely miserable. There's just no words to describe this feeling. And nobody will understand unless they, you know, have been through it themselves and know what it's like. But shit sucks, man. It's nothing to mess around with. And so coming out of that is such a long process too, and it's not even just the physical part goes away, but then you're dealing with the mental recovery too.
When people say like, oh, the mental part's harder than the physical part, and like how you said you were sitting there outside the detox saying this is hell, you're like, there's no fucking way that this is going to be, the mental part's any harder than this. Nothing's harder than this. Like, and then to see how much work you actually have to put in. You say that to somebody that's coming off of the drugs and like, what work? If I just stop using the pills, my life will be better. And it's never that case.
Yeah. And you know what I was doing too during that entire time was, while I was using, was I wanted to stop so bad, and I was like waiting for the right time to stop, that my life allowed it, you know. I was like, oh, well, I got this basketball game coming up. Oh, I'm going to go travel to New York and do this thing. Like, that's not going to be a good time to stop, you know. Like, I was waiting for the right time. And there never came the right time, because I would always justify it in my head, you know. I'd be like, I'll quit when, like, I have a week to call out of work and just relax and handle my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that time never came until
everything seems more important.
It had to. Yeah. You know what I meant? And I actually, I ran out. You know, the second time I got through it, I ran out. And I had none of my plugs were answering their calls, like everything. And I was like, this is it for me. I was like, the storm is coming. Like, I have to buckle down and take care of this. And
what made that stick that time? Like, what was it that?
Oh, I told my family. What was going on. And
did you go through a rehab or anything like that, or?
I went to counseling.
Okay.
So I highly encourage it, even if you're in a healthy mindset. We all have our own demons and stuff that we battle, and so I just highly recommend, you know, counseling and therapy and recovery groups. All that stuff is great. Went to Elements once too, like. All sorts of stuff, you know, it's awesome.
That's the only way you can process anything
Absolutely.
is by talking to people.
Exactly.
And, you know, especially as guys, we're taught to, you know, just handle your feelings like a man, you know, just, you know, ignore it. But the only way I got any recovery was just being open in group, talking to everyone about it. And then all of a sudden I got all this healing, you know, and it I don't have that same compulsion that I, you know, woke up with every day that I thought I would never go away. And now all of a sudden it's like my life's is turned out to be pretty good now, you know, and it's just talking about it, being vulnerable, like you said. After you got out of detox, you just have stayed clean since then?
So there was the first time when I was selling, and both of them actually were both the same thing, with selling started it. And the second time I was like, I can handle this, it's fine, you know, I'll just get rid of it. I'm gonna get all of the inventory and just get rid of it right away. And then there was times where people didn't buy it, and then I had it in my possession, and then it spiraled again and turned into an addiction. So there was twice where it happened. But since the second time, it's been counseling has helped a ton. And like I said, finding other healthy outlets has been huge for me too. And that's with hand cycling and challenging myself with sports, relationships, choosing the right people, surrounding yourself with those people, counseling sessions too, being vulnerable, being open, you know, sharing where you're at. And, you know, being able to say that it's okay that you screwed up and this is what happened, but I need accountability, and I need people in my life, and I still have family members to this day asking me how things are going, what's been going on, how have you been doing with all of this? Do you still have cravings? Do you still have this and that?
Yeah,
and,
same questions.
Sure. I mean, still, like, it'll pop in your head to here and there, and it gets better, though, for those people that are listening, that it's so fresh. Like, it gets so much better. Like, in the beginning, you're like, how can I go through my day without just, like, it constantly popping in my head, like go find a pill. That's the only way that you're gonna find happiness. Go find that heroin, whatever, meth, cocaine, whatever it is, whatever your demon is, But as time goes on, and you start filling your life with purpose, you start filling your life with, whether it's sports, music, art, work, school, whatever it is, God, all of these things. That is what really gets through. And as time goes on, time is definitely your friend too in all of this. And you start thinking about it less and less. And then it's a pretty good feeling when you're like, man, I just went like a week and I didn't even think about. And it's when you're in it too. And we've talked about this, but nothing feels like it matters anymore. There's no purpose, right? There's like your family who would be important to you when you're sober, clean and sober. That doesn't matter. Everything goes on the back burner when you're using it. And then when you're clean and sober again, it's like things start to really matter again, and that it feels good. It's I think they tell you this in recovery, but there's a life better than you imagined. When you're in it, you think that this is it, but outside of it, the life is so much better not using that shit, man. It's like it's indescribable. Like purpose started coming back to me again too. And after that whole mental battle, like. And there's things that come up that you just didn't even realize that you battled with too, like the whole mental game, like anxiety. I never had anxiety until after recovery and like dealing with that. But counseling and friends and family and God and everything has helped me overcome that. And so when that purpose starts coming back in your life again, that's really important. And I think that you guys have found that purpose here, creating this podcast and giving, sharing your voice and sharing these stories. And I think that's really important, for people to hear, people that have been through it before, because like you said earlier, there's some people think that there's no hope out there.
Well, yeah, you basically think that was a curse, or it was like, a weakness, like that was your past, an addiction, it's frowned upon. And so the way that I had to like give it all up to God, and the control and everything is saying I got to stop caring what people think about me, and I wanted to turn my weakness into a strength. So it's like, instead of hiding it, I just thought, like, why not just share it and get it over with, and like start helping people. And this helps us too. This like just coming out here and chatting with you,
For sure.
Yeah.
I actually relapsed since speaking to you guys at Hold Fast. That was the second time.
Oh, okay.
So it's been maybe 5-6 months now. I don't know how long it's been, but and that's something I'm not afraid to talk about.
No, that's awesome.
That's something
I'm
that
glad you're still here, man.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
We got people Absolutely. That we think they're gonna do great, and they go out and we never see them again. And so it's great to see that you're still here and have that. You looked exactly the same from when I saw you. So obviously,
and it wasn't the same level and depth as it was the first time, but it happened.
It
happened, and I was able to recognize it and get out of it a lot quicker. But when I said the second time, that's what I'm referring to. So I don't know how long it's been, but I'm definitely past it and moving forward and doing a lot better, for sure. So it's something that you're going to continue to battle too. And there's, I don't know what the statistics are, but people, it's very high.
Very high for death or relapse or to not stay sober 100% for the rest of your life. Which
Absolutely.
At this point right now seems a little bit impossible for us, even though we got a year clean. But I just have to think about every day. Like when I wake up, I'm like, okay, today I'm not gonna use today. You know, I'm probably gonna have some shit thrown at me, but you know, I can't do it. Like, I know how bad it's gonna get. The last time that I used, and my last run was like a year and a half after I had a year clean. It was a miracle that I'm here right now. Like, a miracle that I had the options to get out of it when I did. I just consider it like there's no turning back if I use again. If I use again, that means I want to die from it. So and I don't, because we have too much shit going on that's important to me. I don't want to lose that, you know? Like, it's just important to me to like have a good life. I always wanted to, and now I have the chance to, and I just don't want to throw it away again, you know?
Yeah, it's the stuff that's illegal, like drinking. It's so easy to
available.
do. Like it's right there. And the statistics, you want to hear statistics, like we're at Holdfast. There's only 4 of us that I think have actually made it through.
Wow.
The entire program.
Well, congratulations, though.
So,
for real.
and that's right
It's an
now. That's where
accomplishment.
it's at. So, like, it's scary. It's a scary thought. If we go, like, I don't want to go out back on use. I can't. Like, I want to be able to be there to help, like, the next person, you know, and not be, to see it go around, revolve around in a full 360. Some of the guys are still there that you maybe talked to when you were there. So, I mean, that's how it is.
Well, yeah, they left the program, went out, used, and, you know, barely made it, and then now they're back, and they're still trying to get it. So I just thank God.
And I'm glad they're back there. And, you know, how many times are we going to do it and repeat the insanity of it? That's what it is. I mean, and the more we come back and we know we're here right now. We know to go back there. Each time we do it is going to get worse and worse and worse. To me, the whole thing is like just dealing, like we need to learn how to deal with our emotions while we're sober. And I think that's like a huge part of it. We use drugs so much that it has made us like almost immature in a way.
Oh no,
like,
for sure.
It slowed us down, and
now
we're not doing drugs, and we're trying to just play catch up to our maturity, basically.
Well, what's motivating you to stay sober today?
Oh man, just even talking about this with you guys today and looking back at how dark that place was. You know, it's where I was, what I was doing, and like sometimes, you know, God uses the struggles and pain in our life to shape us into something more. And I feel like, although I would never wish that upon anybody, He's definitely used that rock bottom moment multiple times between my accident and recovering twice from addiction to show me a new path and a new journey for me, and so much good has come out of it, you know, afterwards, both times, and I've learned lessons, you know, from it. And I think now just you know, every day that I go on and move past it, it's just it's getting better and better, and I see His purpose and calling on my life. I'm actually planning this fall to bike across the country in my hand bike. So I have a 3-wheel bike that I use with my arms. So I want to bike from West Coast to East Coast, nearly 4,000 miles in my bike.
For, like you said, the skiing, the cycling,
Yep.
basketball chairs, like how much is all this equipment anyway?
So it's all adaptive, so it's specialized. So you can't just go to Walmart and get a bike. You know, you can't just grab a pair of basketball shoes. You know, when you're in a wheelchair, everything needs to be designed for you in an adaptive way. So monoskiing, for instance, like I'm actually putting in for a monoski grant for a new monoski next winter. I've got one right now. It's like 15 years old. I was blessed to get it from a friend, but I still paid like $2,000 just to get it off of a friend. The one I'm putting in for is $6,000 to $7,000.
That's pretty sad that like they charge this much money.
Yeah.
And
It's just because it's custom. That has to be the only reason.
And the customer base is small too. I've had the opportunity to talk to other like entrepreneurs in the adaptive world, and you're catering to a much smaller market too. So they're only selling 20, 30 of these things a year, and so they have to really increase their profit margins. I mean, I don't know how much they build them for every time, but I know that they're making money off of each one for sure, but they're not selling a ton of them because there's only so many people out there that are doing it. But I know though that they can be designed for a lot more affordable price, absolutely. But that's where the foundation, comes in, and trying to raise money for people to get these things, because there's so many people out there. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but it's like 1 in 5 have a disability, any kind of disability. So there's a lot of people out there, whether it's mental, physical, anything. And there's people with bad knees, bad backs that could utilize a hand cycle. They don't just have to be wheelchair bound like me. So I actually just got a brand new hand cycle, which I'm going to use to bike across the country, which is really exciting. And it's a $7,000 bike. I applied for a foundation myself called Challenge Athletes Foundation, and they gave me $2,000. And I was like, well, I still have $5,000 to raise. And so I started a GoFundMe. And I was able to just reach out to Facebook friends and just my community, and they stepped up. And,
is that on your Facebook account?
Yeah, it's on.
We'll plug that. We'll put the link in the description for you,
cool.
so we can get some traffic going that way.
Sweet. And I'm gonna start sharing my journey on there too, and start developing more for the foundation. So. Actually, back in college, I started a company called Rebel Hand Cycles. So I started working on designing my own hand cycles. And then I realized that I could benefit a lot more from helping people by providing the funds and helping people get these equipment. And so I kind of shifted my perspective and wanted to start a foundation for people to get adaptive equipment. So I'm kind of shifting over to something called the Rebel Movement. And that's what I'm starting, and it's rebelling with a good cause. And so there's these people that have cultural stereotypes of disabilities where they think that we'll just sit on the couch, not get out, not do anything. And I'm trying to say, hey, screw that, man. Like, let's get out there.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
like,
I'm trying
when
to
you have
encourage.
to pay $7,000 for that, that's going to be discouraging, and you're not going to be able to get out there.
Absolutely. So I want to bridge that gap for people to be like, hey, this is cool. The Rebel Foundation, the Rebel movement is happening, and I can, join this community of individuals that are out there. And this is for everybody too. I'm not just saying this is only for people with disabilities. Like, what are you guys rebelling against? Addiction? Like, join the movement, man. Like, this is what's happening right now, and this is what we want to help, and we want to say, hey, rebel against all of that. Let's rebel and do amazing things together. And so I want to raise awareness for all of that, rebelling against addiction, rebelling against the cultural stereotypes of disabilities, rebelling against all this equipment being so damn expensive, rebel against all that, and then bike across the country and have that be the Kickstarter for this, get the media, the press behind it. And I don't want eyes on me. I'm just trying to raise awareness for something bigger than myself, and that's what this movement is. And I'd love for people to come and join me in this.
How long is it going to take you to actually do that? Is anyone going to actually go? Is it with you, or is it
like 2,600 miles, right?
Yeah, no, it's more than that. We're pushing close to 4,000 miles for
4,000.
Sure. Yeah.
How many miles are you going to try to push a day?
I'm looking at like 50 to 70 probably. I'm going to take my time. There's a lot of cool things. What better way to see the country on a bike too? Like, when you're driving, you're going to miss a lot of stuff, but I'm going to be cruising through the roads. I'm definitely going to have a support vehicle. I actually want to try to get an RV too. Be comfortable, be able to just post up wherever. There's going to be a lot of things that happen along the way, a lot of stories. I'd love to even come back on here sometime and share my journey with you guys.
We would love to hear about that, for sure. And now that you're going to go bike across the country, it's like, why the fuck am I not doing it? So now I gotta go fucking hop on a bike and do this damn.
Dude, join me. I'm not. I definitely
have to now.
Yeah,
it's like shit.
What did I just sign up for? No,
it's like I gotta get.
I can't even run a mile right now.
It's like I gotta bike across the damn country.
I know.
We're stoked for you, man, and that's props. Like, no one's doing that shit, so it's like awesome that you're actually motivated to go do that. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be way worse than you think it's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna be a joyride.
I know it, man. I did 2 trips from Prescott to Mexico. I did 264 miles. We did it last year around this time in March, actually, and all the bikes that we rode down, there was 14 of us. We gave away to people in need in Mexico. We were able to raise, I think, close to $5,000 that time too for an orphanage there and everything. So it was a purpose-driven trip, but that was just 300 miles, and I was pretty haggard by the end of it. You know, we did it in 3 days.
You're gonna be so jacked, bro.
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna be
like this with your neck.
You lose a lot of weight, dude. It's a stick, man.
You're not gonna fit through the door.
Yeah, right.
What's up, dudes?
And I think that none of that would have happened if I didn't go through these life experiences, you know. But if I was using, I want to be productive. I want to be getting this stuff done. I want to be talking, thinking clearly, doing all of this, because the only thing that would matter to me would be to use, you know. And now I want to help people, and I want to, you know, give back and see that. And that's what's really rewarding to me. And I know that sounds cliche, but
that's
now
what it's
it's
all
like
about, man.
That's what's really, you know,
that's what it's
shaped
all about,
me and changed me. And so I've just been able to develop and have a passion for all of this stuff. And I wasn't really passionate about anything but drugs when I was using.
No way.
You know, and now like there's just so many more passions in life that and God's definitely used that to you know, help share my story. He's used that in your lives to help you guys share your story through this podcast as a platform to speak to others, which is incredible. So,
well, every single person we have on here is like really helps us in a sense. It's like giving back, and just to hear other people's stories. It's not
right.
It all comes from similar places and stuff like that. And I don't lie, when you came in, that was like an eye opener for me. I was in a bad place, like to where I really didn't even want to be alive. And you know, there's a lot of things that flipped around on me in the time by hearing everybody's story, going to all the meetings, that kind of stuff. So I think this is all good, like us getting together and talking. So,
oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I was in the same spot when you came in. Like I was coming off Suboxone, heroin, what else? Lithium, Zoloft, Xanax, alcohol, weed, all at the same time, and I didn't detox. I just came straight in there.
Just cold turkey.
Yeah. So for a couple of weeks, man. Oh, and Abilify, man, I almost killed myself because of that stuff. That it makes you obsessed with like needing to die.
Heard of that.
Oh, it's like they give it to you with an antidepressant to kind of counterbalance it if you're still depressed on taking it. And I don't know what it does besides make you want to die, but that's how I felt the whole damn time I was taking it. But yeah, I was sitting on the couch just I needed to hear that story, the one that you brought up and that you came in, because it made me just say, like, you know, pad up, stop being a bitch, and you know, go handle this stuff. And I felt stronger, more driven and motivated to help people in my recovery, because you're able to do that in the situations that the cards that you've been dealt, the stuff that you've had to go through, man, is not very typical, you know.
Right.
It's kind of special what you've had to go through. So through all of that, to still say you want to go help people, and like, you know, you could be mad at God, you could be mad at the world, but you're not. You're like about to go bike across the country and you know, do the damn thing. You know, that's super impressive. Like, and I wanted the same thing you had. Is I wanted to just have that same motivation to, no matter what life throws at me, just get up and you know, just go do the damn thing.
I just want to say thank you for having me on here, and I think it's always, I try to never say no to opportunities, you know, when I have the chance to share my story. And I wish I could sit here and tell you guys too that since that moment, and I think when I came in and spoke with you guys at Holdfast, it was like a year maybe clean and sober, and I wish I could be like, yeah, everything was perfect since then. But it's not, and that's life. And it happened again, and I overcame it. And you know, that's how it goes. You know, and it's not a perfect story all the time, and nobody's story is perfect. And I don't know what, you know, your guys' stories will hold, but it seems like you're doing an incredible job so far. And I just want to say, keep up the good work with it. And I just think that we're all on the right track and we're going in the right place with it.
Yeah, just because you get sober doesn't mean that your life's going to be perfect at all. People sure think like, just stop taking the drugs, and then all the relationships will mend. You'll go get a great job, you'll be successful, and life's not going to throw shit at you because, you've been going through so much shit. How could it be any worse? Everything seems to be better on the other side. But as soon as you get sober and start dealing with the mental stuff, it just becomes manageable. Life just starts to be where, okay, I have this curveball thrown at me. How can I fix this rather than just losing it?
Rather than just being like, well, let me get high and then that'll
fix it. Yeah. Or celebrating when something goes good with getting high, or getting high because something went wrong.
It's
always a good time to get
exactly.
And like you said, there's never a time to actually get sober. It's like, well, I have this, and this is more important than my recovery, and I got to get this done. And when this gets fixed, give me a little break there so I can go ahead and go get detoxed or whatever. No, and then when you get into recovery and you start detoxing and you start feeling all the shit that you were covering up, that you were masking, that void with the drugs and the alcohol, starts coming back, starts flooding back into you, and you're like, oh shit, oh man, I can't handle this, I can't deal with how I'm feeling, and then that's what you were talking about, how we get our maturity stunted. It's because all that shit was unprocessed. All of it was sitting there on the back burner while we were getting high, and then it comes flooding back in, and usually it's too overwhelming for us, so we go get high again, or we and then actually processing that stuff out, getting your shit together, and then being able to manage your life. That's how things start to come together, and just doing the next right thing and being positive. And when a bunch of people start doing a bunch of good positive things, good stuff comes out of it. I don't know if it's necessarily karma or not, because it's just, if everyone does good, then good stuff happens. I don't think it's like an equal trade. Like, I did something good, so I gotta get something good back, I think it's just how it's everyone together. It's not just a you personal individual thing, like me against the world. It's if everyone does good, then good shit happens. And with your recovery, if you do good shit's gonna start happening to you. But fear's the bottom line for all of it.
Fear's like the number, like it's the driver behind using, we're afraid of something. We act so hardcore when we're on the drugs, when we're drinking. When you're at the bar, it's like surface level conversation. Who's hardcore? Yeah, you're all huggy in the bars and stuff like that, but it's all a false front. Well, the second we're real, here right now, and we're sober, that's where we need to get and just be there. We went through the program, just see all the fear that we saw in those rooms. When we go to those meetings and stuff like that, it's they're all scared. But I remember going in there with the fentanyl stuff going on. Remember the guys that almost died from it when we were at some of those meetings? It was a lot.
I'm not sure, because a lot of people have been bringing that up. But if you think, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own skirt or our own skirts here per se, but having to deal with life on life's terms, how normal people are able to drink a little bit here and it helps, and then with us we just gotta take the full rough blunt edge of every single thing that happens and not use. It seems impossible. It seems like that there's no way that someone could live without that little bit of a buffer, man.
And what you said there about us going full force too, when it's not just let's go out and have a beer, let's have a pill or whatever. It's this shit just spirals down for us. However, though, that's our personality types, and everyone's different. I'm not going to say that this is true for everybody, but if you can take that same mentality and apply that somewhere healthy, you can do amazing things. If you just think about the way that you go all in when you're partying or using drugs, but why don't you go all in the workplace and with sports and with that, whatever. I have that addictive personality, but I've applied that to fitness. I've applied that to hand cycling. And I go out and I hand bike every day. And if you're from Prescott or Prescott Valley and you see those trikes cruising around Prescott Valley with the flags, that's most likely my friends and I. And that's my outlet. That's my therapy. And that's what I've replaced with, drugs in my life. But applying that same let's go all in, let's send it, let's do it, and and then apply that somewhere else in your life, you can do great things, you know?
That's what's so funny about how addicts, you know, they have that addictive personality. They have that, like, that drive and passion. I think it's what sinks them into addiction. And then when they pull themselves out of it, they don't know what to do with it. And so when they find something and connect, they're able to go on and do amazing things. Like addicts, like they just have that drive in them, you know, and like they just didn't know where to put it at first.
For sure.
And then now, you know, I have a lot of people that were, you know, heroin addicts that, you know, I look up to, and you think like, how could you ever look up to somebody that does heroin? But somebody that does drugs, like an addict, that's not what they always are or will be. Like people go, oh, that filthy junkie, you know, like that's all they are and that's all they ever will be. No, that's like, it's a very ignorant way that the world looks at it. But it's just unprocessed trauma. They didn't know what to do with that drive, and they found something that worked for them at the time.
That void.
And then now all of a sudden it's like, you know, take the drugs away, keep that same passion and fuel, and then I feel better about doing this than I ever had doing any of my own projects, you know.
For sure.
And and I talk about the podcast all day. It's just something that keeps us accountable, sober, and like, oh, well, we have a podcast coming up. Oh, well, I can't go relapse or whatever. And then you're sitting there putting all your business and information out like online and everything. And then how much of a dumbass would I look if I like relapsed right after this?
Like nodding out in front of this mic or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I can't let that happen.
That's good accountability. Absolutely.
It keeps us accountable for sure. Yeah, and I get to do what I love.
I just think this is great what you guys have started here. I mean, like, this is raw footage. This is real life. Like, you know, we're talking about our struggles and things that we've overcome, and being vulnerable is really important. And, you know, I think it just takes a lot of strength for you guys to admit, you know, what you've been through and everything. And for the people hearing this, I think it has the potential to help a lot of people, and that's just really amazing. So
for sure, your story for sure is going to help some people. I promise. We get emails from people that I don't know, and they're saying that they can't get off the couch. They've had strokes, and they can't make it to meetings, so they just look forward to seeing who's came on. And I can't wait to hear the response from your video. We're really happy to have you on here, Andrew.
Sweet.
You're helping us, you know, a lot, and we just want to say thanks. And anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to Recuv Hub. We had a great time, and I think that'll do it. So we'll see you next time.
Andrew.